News. Welcome back. The city of Jacksonville will begin screen testing a package of new incentives designed to lure Hollywood back to the First Coast. To talk about what those financial incentives look like and what they could mean, I'm joined by Todd Roobin, Film Commissioner for the city of Jacksonville. Hi, Todd.
Good morning, Ann.
And Sharon Cobb, a local screenwriter
Hi,
and longtime
Ann.
filmmaker. Nice to have you. So, Todd, what is the job of the film commissioner, and how is that going to maybe change with these new incentives?
Well, the job of the film office is to market the city as far as a wonderful destination for production. We promote our local excellent workforce, the working crew, the locations. We facilitate permitting, of which there's no charge for that. And we expedite and process permits on City of Jacksonville locations, whether it be city parks, city streets, buildings that are occupied or unoccupied by the city, but then connect the dots to the local workforce and the businesses in the industry. We have a wonderful website, filmjax.com.
I saw that, and there's some buildings on there that I was surprised. Like, there's the state attorney's office building. I wonder, is everybody in those buildings like okay with the idea of being the site of a potential film?
So, for instance, there was a production that filmed in the courthouse, the former courthouse building, and that was on Saturday and Sundays. So the film office definitely, we get involved with coordinating the logistics and speaking with the decision makers who manage those different buildings and work on days or nights when they're not being utilized. The city council chambers was used for filming of the HBO movie Recount.
Huh. Sharon, you're a professional screenwriter. You've sold a dozen projects to Hollywood. When you're pitching, does the location ever enter into it? Do you have sort of a fixed idea of where you want it to be staged, or is that more of an after
Sometimes
thought?
we can. It depends on the production and depends on the pitching, because there are certain productions that will be very open to locations, and we say we are thinking of Florida or Jacksonville, and then of course then the whole production idea of budget comes up, and that has to do with incentives. And I think Todd's got some really. I'm so happy to see some incentives for our city now coming up.
Because that makes a big difference.
An incredible difference. It makes all the difference, yes.
And so these incentives are basically if you employ local people, if you buy local, you'll be able to get a significant rebate.
Yes, and it puts us back in competition, not only with other Florida cities that do have such programs, but in other cities in other areas. I mean, we're back in competition, and it's attracting your larger budgeted productions, whether it be feature films, television, which is one program, and another program's for larger budget commercial productions. And lastly, we're offering a fostering filmmaker grant program.
You say back in competition. When did we fall out of competition?
Well, I think incentives, no question about it.
When did that end?
Well, the incentives, there's incentives as far as, the state of Florida had a program.
And that ended in the 90s, right?
Well, actually, Don Davis, back when he was a legislator, probably in 2010, to last about 2016. So it raced basically 2016, the state program sunsetted, and that's when you started seeing projects being lured up into Georgia because of their incentive program.
So there is also a history, though, Sharon, of the city, back in the early 1900s was the Hollywood of the South. I mean, it was competing with Los Angeles as a warm weather destination for film, and it really was very successful for a time.
Yes, it was. It was. And that started, I think Todd knows all the details on the dates, but that started in the early 1900s. And Norman Studios, and if you haven't visited Norman Studios, it's actually restored, and it has a museum, which is really awesome, over on Arlington Road in Arlington. And that is a fantastic example of what was actually going on at that time in Jacksonville. It's a shame that the whole production, studios and everybody fled Jacksonville to go to that little place called Hollywood.
The Norman Studios is really the last relic of the heyday of filmmaking. That was a black film production company.
Richard Norman, a white man, actually hired black actors, and they played amazingly heroic roles, and he successfully Back then, there were theaters that were segregated, but he did a wonderful, wonderful job in producing these. And we're so thankful that the City of Jacksonville's park system has the Norman Studios under its fold, as well as the Norman Studios Board of Directors. It has its own 501c3, and they oversee the day-to-day operations as well.
So just briefly, if people want to get information about this new incentive program.
I encourage everybody to look at filmjacks.com, go to the website, and click the incentive tab, and the programs are all there, plus so much more.
Todd, Roobin, Sharon, Cobb, I wish we had more time to talk. Thank you so much for being
Thank
here. We
you,
really
Ann.
appreciate it.